A man with a severe intellectual disability is offered a chance to become a genius. An experimental surgery, already tested on a laboratory mouse named Algernon, promises to triple his intelligence. He takes it, and it works. He goes from barely able to write his own name to outpacing the scientists who created him, reading multiple languages, grasping ideas most people never touch. It is the ultimate wish granted, and it is one of the most heartbreaking stories ever written. Because Daniel Keyes understood something we spend our whole lives avoiding, that intelligence and happiness are not the same thing, and that the more clearly you see the world, the more there is to grieve. In 2026, in a culture obsessed with optimizing our minds, this 1959 story might be the warning we most need to hear. Here is what feels strange about it. We assume that becoming smarter would obviously, unquestionably make life better. More intelligence, more success, more understanding, more happiness. That equation feels so self-evident that we organize entire societies around it. And Keyes takes the equation and quietly, devastatingly, breaks it. Because as Charlie Gordon gets smarter, he does not get happier. He gets lonelier. He starts to see things he was protected from before. He realizes that his co-workers he thought were his friends had been laughing at him for years. He sees the condescension hidden inside kindness. He understands for the first time exactly how the world had been treating him, and the understanding is agony. Knowledge does not arrive as a gift. It arrives as a series of doors opening onto rooms he cannot unsee. Let me reframe the whole story. Flowers for Algernon is not about a disabled man who becomes a genius. It is about the price of awareness and whether seeing clearly is worth what seeing clearly costs. Before the surgery, Charlie is happy, genuinely. He has friends, as he understands them. He has hope. He believes the people around him are good to him. After the surgery, he has comprehension, and comprehension strips away every comfortable illusion he was living inside. Keyes is asking a question that should stop you cold. If you could become twice as intelligent, but the price was seeing every painful truth your current ignorance protects you from, would you do it? And the honest answer is harder than it first appears. To feel the full weight of this, you have to sit with the structure Keyes built. The story is told through Charlie's own progress reports, so you watch his mind change from the inside, in his own words. At first, the writing is simple, misspelled, warm, trusting. As his intelligence rises, the language transforms into something complex, precise, and increasingly cold. And then, because the effect is temporary, you watch it reverse. You watch a brilliant man feel his own mind slipping away, fully aware of what he is losing, racing to finish his work before the darkness closes back in. There may be no more terrifying experience in literature than watching a person lose their intelligence while remaining just intelligent enough to understand exactly what is being taken. Keyes makes you live the descent, and it teaches you something about the thing you take for granted every single day. The psychology underneath this is real, and it is uncomfortable. Researchers have documented again and again that higher awareness is not a straight path to higher well-being. People who see social dynamics most clearly often carry more anxiety, not less. The capacity to perceive how others really regard you, to notice every slight and subtext, to understand the full scope of the world's problems, comes bundled with a cost. There is a reason the phrase, "ignorance is bliss," survived for centuries. It is not an excuse for stupidity. It is a hard-won observation that some of what we call growing up is really just learning to carry truths that used to be hidden from us.
Charlie's tragedy is that he received all of those truths at once, with no time to build the calluses the rest of us develop slowly. Now bring this into your life, because the parallel is sharper than it looks. We are living through an era that treats the optimization of the mind as the highest possible goal. Sharpen your focus, upgrade your thinking, absorb more information faster. Become the smartest, most aware, most informed version of yourself. And we rarely stop to ask Charlie's question, which is whether more awareness past a certain point actually makes a human being more at peace. We consume endless streams of information about everything wrong in the world, every threat, every injustice, every reason for alarm, and we call this being informed, and we wonder why we feel worse. Keyes saw it in 1959. There is a kind of knowing that does not set you free. It just gives you more to mourn. There is a saying in Uzbek culture that the one who knows much grieves much. It sounds almost discouraging until you sit with it, and then you realize it's not telling you to stay ignorant. It's telling you the truth about what knowledge weighs, so that you carry it on purpose instead of being crushed by it accidentally. Wisdom, in that saying, is not just accumulating knowing, it's learning to hold what you know without letting it harden or drown you. But here is where the story becomes profound rather than merely sad, and it is the detail most people miss.
Even at the height of his intelligence, when Charlie has surpassed everyone, what he longs for is not more knowledge, it is connection. He discovers that being the smartest person in the room is a uniquely isolating position, that intelligence without warmth is a kind of solitary confinement. The cruelest part of his gift is that it places him beyond the reach of the very people he wanted to be loved by. And in his final days, as the brilliance fades, the thing he reaches for, the thing he holds on to, is not the equations. It is kindness. It is the simple wish to be treated gently and to matter to someone. Keyes is telling you, through this whole devastating arc, that intelligence was never the thing that makes a life worth living. Belonging is. And we are spending our era optimizing for exactly the wrong variable. This connects to the most quietly important line in the whole book, Charlie's request that someone put flowers on Algernon's grave. The mouse who went first, who showed Charlie his own future, who declined and died before him. In the middle of his own tragedy, Charlie's instinct is tenderness toward a creature who shared his fate. That is the part of him intelligence could not improve and decline could not erase. The capacity for care turns out to be more fundamental than the capacity for thought. And maybe that is the real measure of a person, not how much they can understand, but how gently they treat the ones traveling the same hard road. I want to be careful here, because this is a story drenched in loss, and it touches the fear of losing ourselves, our minds, the people we love. So let me say it plainly. The point is not that awareness is bad, or that you should retreat into not knowing. The point is that knowledge and well-being are different things, and a wise life tends to both. Becoming smarter is not a substitute for becoming kinder, more connected, more at peace. And if the pursuit of being informed or impressive is leaving you isolated, that is a signal worth heeding, not powering through. Charlie's whole story is a plea to not mistake the sharpening of the mind for the healing of the heart. Those are two different projects, and only one of them, in the end, he wished he had spent more time on. Read Flowers for Algernon again, not as a sad science fiction story about a failed experiment, but as one of the most important meditations ever written on what we actually owe ourselves.
It gives you language for the loneliness of seeing too clearly, for the strange grief that comes bundled with growth, for the truth that the smartest version of you is not automatically the happiest, and it leaves you with the gentlest possible instruction hidden inside the saddest possible story. Be kind to the ones beside you. Reach for connection over cleverness, and remember, when the world tells you to optimize your mind above all else, that Charlie Gordon had the most upgraded mind of anyone, and the thing he wanted in the end was the thing he had before the surgery ever happened, to be cared for and to care. There is a particularly haunting dimension to Charlie's story that speaks directly to our moment, and it concerns how the people around him relate to his intelligence rather than to him. Before the surgery, he is patronized, treated as a project, a curiosity, someone to be managed. After it, when he becomes brilliant, he is resented, feared, pushed away, because his intelligence threatens the people who once felt superior to him. At no point in either phase is Charlie simply met as a person. He is related to as a level of intelligence, first too little and then too much, and never as the human being underneath the number. This is the quiet cruelty the story exposes, and it is everywhere in a culture that ranks people by their cognitive output, their credentials, their cleverness, their usefulness. We are increasingly trained to assess one another the way the scientists assessed Charlie, by capability rather than by humanity, and Keyes shows you the loneliness that produces from the inside. The thing Charlie wanted in both phases of his life was to be valued for existing rather than for performing. That he never quite received it at any level of intelligence is the real tragedy, and it is a tragedy we are at risk of multiplying in an age that measures human worth in ever sharper and colder units. Tell me in the comments if you could become far more intelligent but had to see every painful truth your ignorance now protects you from, would you do it? If you want more deep dives that turn the stories you think you know inside out, subscribe and check the description for further reading. One honest note before you go: this video uses AI-generated audio and visuals, and it offers reflection, not professional advice. If the fear of loss in this story touched something real, that is worth sharing with someone you trust rather than holding alone. This was just one reader's thoughts offered to make you think.